I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Smiling. Wait, let me go back. Let me just go back, y'all, because look, I want you to see his reaction. Right?
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Reaction, her reaction. She don't look happy.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Nick, name out your fucking mouth. Wow, dude.
Look at her. I'm her.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay. So we're Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it.
I'm gonna just do that one more time, y'all.
That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Nick, wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was
He's like stunned.
Greatest night in the history of television. Okay. So we're
Okay, so y'all saw it. I wanted to play it twice just because again, if you're just coming in here, get those likes up, y'all. Likes are free. Also show support to the show. You can find me on Cash App or Venmo. Super chats are open. But so you haven't heard already, there's this altercation that happened between Will Smith, Chris Rock at the Oscars. Basically, to make a long story short, he made reference to his wife and was talking about how he was excited to see, G.I. Jane 2, making reference to her bald head and her being a part of the movie. Now, the backstory behind it is that Jada recently came out about having alopecia, which is why she is now, sporting being, bald head or essentially no hair because she's alopecia. So that's kind of the backstory behind it. So, depending upon how sensitive she is about the whole topic or subject, it could be considered a bad joke, bad form, bad taste. What's interesting about it is that if you're looking here, he made the joke initially. He laughed. You know what I mean? He seemed like it was lighthearted. You look at the wife, you look at Jada, she did not seem even remotely impressed or amused. It definitely seemed like she was not feeling it. And so we can all speculate as to what is going on. But just from the optics of it, it appears to me that she just was offended. She was not feeling it. Maybe this is a sensitive area for her. Many of us women, our hair means so much, especially Black women. So if that, God forbid you have beautiful hair, which I've seen pictures of her in the past, but she had her natural hair and she had really beautiful, long, natural hair. If that's now taken away from her, that's hard. So for all we know, this could still be a very sensitive subject for her. It could be a very tough thing that she's going through emotionally. And so, like I said, she did not respond in a way that made it seem like she liked the joke. He initially did seem lighthearted, but what it seems like happened, again, this is just my opinion, but it seems like happened is he saw his wife, he saw the way that she responded, and that was like trigger. Everybody is Lupita right now. You, me, and everybody in the world was Lupita. She's just in there like, I'm so confused. But I think that's what happened. I think he took it in stride, but when he saw the way his woman responded and how that affected her, he just initially took on form and he was like, nah, I have to defend it. So again, if you're on here, get those likes up, tag anybody on this discussion, share it with someone. And we're just talking a little bit about this whole situation that's been trending over the last few hours about the Oscars. I know some people are thinking, is it staged? Is it not staged? I don't think it was staged. Personally, I don't think it was staged because you look at Chris Rock's response, like he legit to me looks like he's, I mean, I think he handled it well considering, but he looks like stunned. Like his part of his mouth is like not even moving the right way. Like I personally don't think it's staged. Now the optics of it are it's total trash. It is like, this is some ghetto fabulous stuff, but here we are. So I wanted to show that aspect of it first, and then I'm going to go into the speech. It's interesting because shortly after this, he won, an Oscar. And I think this speech really kind of gives us some insight into what's going on in his mind right now. So I'm going to bring that up and we're going to get into it. Okay, so let me share this speech really quick if I can find it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, here it is. The world is ghetto at this point. Right. And sadly, that's what gets views. That's what people don't necessarily like the positive stuff. They like the mess. They like the drama. Some of that could just be because of just toxicity. You know what I mean? People are just toxic and therefore they like to see toxic things so they don't feel as toxic as they are. Like there's all kind of theories behind it. But okay, so now I'm going to play this aspect where he just gives a speech. And I think this is, again, he gives us some insight into what is going on and with him mentally, emotionally. And so we're going to get into it.
And the Oscar goes to
Will Smith! Oh man. Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world. Making this film, I got to protect Ingenue Ellis, who was one of the strongest, most delicate people I've ever met. I got to protect Sanaya and Demi, the two actresses that played Venus and Serena. I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. Now, I know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay. But Richard Williams, and what I loved, thank you, D. Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you. It's like, I want to be a vessel for love. I want to say thank you to Venus and Serena. I just spit. I hope they didn't see that on TV. I want to say thank you to Venus and Serena and the entire Williams family for entrusting me with your story. That's what I want to do. I want to be an ambassador of that kind of love and care and concern. I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. This is a beautiful moment, and I'm not crying for winning an award. It's not about winning an award for me. It's about being able to shine light on all of the people, Tim and Trevor and Zach and Sanaya and Demi and Ingenue and the entire cast and crew of King Richard and Venus and Serena, the entire Williams family. Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, just like they said. I look like crazy father, just like they said about Richard Williams. But love will make you do crazy things. To my mother, a lot of this moment is really complicated for me, but to my mother, she didn't want to come out. She had her knitting friend. She has a knitting crew that she's in Philly watching with. Being able to love and care for my mother and my family, my wife. I'm taking up too much time. Thank you for this honor. Thank you for this moment, and thank you on behalf of Richard and Oracene, the entire Williams family. Thank you. Hooking Academy invites me back. Thank you.
Okay, so y'all, there we have it. There we have it. So much to unpack here. Listen, I am not obviously a trained psychologist or psychiatrist or none of the above. Also, I just saw some new people coming here. If you're on here, y'all get those likes up. Likes are free. Be sure to hit the like button before you leave. Also, feel free to send in your support. You can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Charday. Also, super chats are open. I will be sure to read and acknowledge all super chats. So, a lot to this whole situation. The complicated thing about it is obviously, again, quick recap, he does a joke about G.I. Jane, kind of associating Jada Pinkett Smith with G.I. Jane 2 that's coming out. It seemed like he was cool with it, right? It seemed like Will Smith was cool with the joke based upon the way he responded initially, but his wife was obviously not based upon her response. Then all of a sudden, he takes offense. I'm thinking he saw the way his wife responded, and I'm thinking he saw the way his wife responded, and then that triggered him. He felt like he needed to react. He punches dude out. Chris Rock is like, "Dang, I wasn't expecting that." They move on. Then he ends up winning an Oscar and kind of gives that speech. Now, the interesting thing about that speech that I want to call out is, there's a couple of things he mentioned. This keyword protection, feeling like he's called to love and protect and be a vessel of love, and kind of all these very flowery words. He makes reference of love making you do crazy things. It's very obvious that he is emotionally overwhelmed. His emotions are high, that there's a lot going on. He even went, at the end, he just kind of made a joke and he's like, I hope they invite me back. So he knows what he did was probably in bad form. He did apologize, not to Chris Rock, but to the Academy. So there's just a lot going on. And I will say, just having had a chance to watch the relationship from, like, we all have, right? Like they've been very open about the relationship, putting it on blast. I am constantly reminded every single day why, my personal opinion, I believe it is incredibly important to try to guard your relationships as much as possible. I know there are certain people out there where maybe they don't have the option, or for whatever reason, they are very open and very candid about their love and their relationship, what they do, everything from their sex life to some of their different emotional challenges. Like, it can get really deep. And, the issue with that is that when you have an intimate relationship, right, in their case, their husband and wife, the issue is that now that they put so much of their business out there, they become, it's almost like everybody's science project, right? Or everybody is, they're on display. Their relationship is on display. And, over the last few months, if not years, there's been all these different things about their relationship, what they're doing, the entanglements, there's the red table talks. Like, there's just so much around what is basically going on between him and his wife, and in their bedroom, and in behind closed doors, that we've all been privy to. And, while they're actors, they're used to being under the public eye, used to being under the scrutiny. In that speech, right? In that speech, we essentially hear him allude to the fact that it's just like, I'm supposed to take these things on the chin. I'm supposed to be the bigger guy. I'm supposed to take this abuse. And to me, it just seemed like he cracked. It just seemed like he cracked. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that led up to that moment of him responding in a way that maybe your average person would be like, hey, it's just a joke. This is not a big deal. And that seemed like it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so that is a challenge of anytime you have these relationships that become so public for everyone to indulge, to engage in, to watch, to nitpick, to judge. That is an incredible amount of pressure. And God only knows if that was, like I said, if those are some of the things that were already weighing on them to begin with. And then, you add to that whatever Jada's going through, probably emotionally, as far as alopecia. I mean, there are all these different things going around at that time, emotionally for him, psychologically for her, that led to that moment of an outburst, of a total and complete outburst. Again, if you're on here, please get those likes up. Tag anybody. Share this with someone that you think may find it interesting. Also, shout out to Black One with the super sticker. I appreciate you. I appreciate the $1.99 super sticker. Much, much, much love. But anyways, this situation, like I said, it just unpacked it so much. So again, one, it's just bad optics. This is just like I said, this is just, you got, I don't want to say black and black crime, but you got a black man pushing on another black man on the Oscars in international space. We already have a bad reputation of black folks to begin with. And so this was just bad optics, period. So it's like, dang, like, here we are going into a situation, making ourselves look bad. Now, I mean, again, stuff happens. Although he's, a multimillionaire actor and Chris Rock, he's a very successful comedian. Obviously, things happen, and this is why we can't put. This is why we should not put no superstars or nobody on pedestals, because at the end of the day, they are still capable of doing dumb things, and we see this here. We see people who they have been deep in. He's well into his 50s, if I'm not mistaken. These are grown men, very successful, high-earning men. And, he was just in a moment of insanity, right? Or in a moment of emotionally cracking, whatever. It's like responded just like a teenager would. So it just, for all intents and purposes, to me, it just looked like he cracked. It just looked like the man cracked, And like I said, I think anytime a couple goes and puts their relationship on open display, as they have chosen to do, that opens up the room for so much scrutiny, and also so much, sometimes so much unwanted criticism. And if you don't necessarily if you're not maybe prepared for that emotionally, if your relationship is maybe already in a vulnerable spot, if you personally are already in a vulnerable spot psychologically, it can just make you crack. And I think in this instance, just in a moment maybe of insanity, or just in a moment overwhelmed, he responded, yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do, but, or, you know, one could argue it was the right thing to do, but there you go. I would say for me personally, you know, I've had this conversation with my husband where he was like, yeah, like, I imagine it's natural as a man, right? When you see your woman being attacked, or you see your woman being what you feel threatened, it's natural for you to respond. It's natural for a man to want to, like, to protect her. That's a very, very natural response. It's just, you know, depending on the setting, depending on the situation, now it's your job to figure out, okay, what is the best way to handle this? Did he need to go on the stage and punch him out in front of millions of people? Was that effective? You know what I mean? Did that get the point across? I don't know. Could there have been a better way to do it? I personally think so. But then again, like I said, the man's human. And what seems to have been happening up to this point is that there's all this pressure and there's all this scrutiny and there's all this judgment coming upon him and his wife about the relationship. And like I said, maybe it just got to where it was too much. Yeah, see, a woman can break a man if he allows to disrespect him. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You said, and yeah, and you see, and again, and that's you see the complicated thing about this whole situation. To me, the complicated thing was that it had been one thing if he made the joke and he initially was like upset. He initially was, you saw he had an angry face, he was enraged, and then he ran up there. But when we see that he cracked the joke, he was laughing, he was lighthearted. So, like I said, somewhere within that 5-10 second span, I don't know if he looked at his wife and saw something, or she said something to her, or she said something to him, or suggested something. But all we know is that he went from one instance laughing to another instance being enraged. It seems like it was a total 180-degree turnaround. And it's like, man, this is crazy. Something is going on here. And as a grown man in his 50s, he's been in the industry decades upon decades. I'm sure there was a better way he could have handled that, a way that was maybe more classy, that wouldn't necessarily now he has to question whether or not he'll be asked back. They had literally, I saw some news sources like editing out the part where he goes and cusses him out. Like, so I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but he cracked. And that's what I'm saying. We could all speculate as to what led up to that point of just being that emotional burst. But I tend to think it's some of the pressure that's been on him in his marriage since the fact that they've been very, very incredibly open, almost open to the point where it's just like, I don't know if we all need to know that. And, you know, this is why I'll even be honest and say, like, there's been times where, you know, people have asked me, like I had an instance where a content creator asked if he wanted me and my husband to come out and be interviewed or talk about a different relationship or do different things. And this is why I personally have been very, very, very cautious about the amount of information that I share, because it's like, I know anytime, it don't matter if you got millions of followers, you got a couple thousand followers, anytime you take your intimate personal stuff and you put it on public display, you have got to be very cautious, and you have got to be very, very, very mindful of how you do it, or else you can start working against yourself. And it could be that with how open they've been online and just how incredibly vulnerable they've been online, they've invited more attacks or more scrutiny than what they wanted. And there's so many men already. So many men I've heard that were just like, this was bad form. He's a total simp for doing this. He's basically being controlled by his wife. I mean, I've heard all kinds of things, you know what I mean? All kinds of things. And look, at the end of the day, he's a grown man, but he's still human. And again, if somebody isn't mentally strong, spiritually strong enough, all that scrutiny, all that negativity, it can weigh on a person. You say, I can't wait. Shout out to Young East. I can't wait to see the memes about this, y'all. This is going to be, I'm interested to see how he responds over the next few days. Like I said, is he going to come out and is he going to come out and apologize? Is he going to put himself in rehab? Just my gut one-on-one analysis. You know what I mean? Again, I don't pretend to be no psycho, no therapist and none of that, but it definitely seems like it would benefit him to go and just chill somewhere and check in emotionally, mentally. Like, that was a mental burst, and he knows it. He even mentioned that even in his speech. And then so So again, so that whole situation happened, right? He has an emotional outburst, and we see that it's from what I think is largely triggered by the way he saw his wife respond. As I mentioned before, anytime somebody puts their public relationship on display for everybody and their mama in the whole world to criticize and judge, you are inviting a ton of pressure into your relationship. That is what I think has happened with him, and I think that is one of the reasons he is also cracked. Now, this brings me to my other question. This is another question. Is this what protection looks like? Because what's so interesting, I can see if I can bring this up again. What's so interesting to me about this whole thing is that if we I'm just gonna play this. I'm gonna play this again with just let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find that little section. Because I want to find the section where Jada is beaming. She is like beaming. She's so happy. See if I can find it. Now, Denzel, I don't even know what he's thinking. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know if that's sympathy. I don't know if that's embarrassment. I don't know if that's everything in between. I'm trying to find the place where Jada is like beaming. Okay, anyways, I'm just gonna let it roll, and then I'm gonna let it roll, and then when I find it, I'm gonna go back to it. But so going back to this idea of protection, right? Again, y'all, if you were on here, get those likes up. Y'all get those likes up. Tag anybody. Share this with someone that you think may find it interesting. We were talking about this whole situation. You know, when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock at the Grammys, or not the Grammys, at the Oscars, and whether or not this is the protection that women want. So as I said before, you know, there's this whole, you know, you guys don't even see it. Let me bring this up again. Y'all, I'm slow. Let me bring this up one more time. Because I want to share that one aspect where we see his wife and how she's beaming, how she's responding. So I'm going to try to zoom in at that part. I want you to take a quick look at her expression. I said, yeah, I'm tripping, y'all, not the Grammys. Oscars. Y'all, I'm tripping. Okay, let me see. So he says, yeah, God is calling. So like, he's so emotional. He's talking about God and then protection and then being a vessel of love. And then love makes you do stuff. Like, so there's just, like I said, the man is just emotionally all over the place. And I really do hope and I pray that, you know, maybe this can be a learning lesson. He can go away, and if he needs to check in somewhere, some therapy, somewhere, do something. Because like I said, it's obvious that there's a lot going on emotionally. But let me see. I'm trying to find that spot where she is just like, literally, she is beaming. She is beaming. I'm seeing some comments come through. Yeah, see, would Will smack Chris if Chris was a woman? No, I don't know. That would have been no. If he'd have smacked Chris and Chris was a woman, no, he'd be behind bars right now. Absolutely no way. Absolutely no way that would happen. Absolutely no way. Let me see over here. I see you can't laugh at a joke, and because she was upset, you now want to put hands on some. Can you get violent for her? Yeah, not over jokes. Yeah, no. See, and that's what I'm saying. The optics of it were a little bit tricky, because it'd have been one thing if initially he heard the joke and he was enraged, but he laughed. Like he laughed. He like giggled. So it definitely seemed like he found the joke entertaining until he looked over and saw his wife. And like I said, we don't know what happened in the interaction because the camera moved away, but there was probably a good 5-10 second interaction, and he quickly responded. And it was obviously an impulsive move, because he went from laughing and being chill to literally being in a point of rage to like yelling at the top of his lungs for millions of people to see him, like millions of people. So obviously there are some impulses going on. Man, I'm trying to find that one section where Jada is beaming. But again, so let's go back to this whole topic of protection, right? So we hear protect Black women. How many of you guys have heard that? How many heard that? Protect Black women. Black men don't protect us. Specifically around that whole topic. Now, the reason I think this question, I wanted to bring up this question, is because here we have a prime example of what I believe is a situation where he believes his woman is being threatened. Obviously, it wasn't physical, but at the very least, she's being threatened emotionally. And he responds in a physical act, like to the point to where he has now put his reputation on the line. He now, for all intents and purposes, all eyes are on him. This is trending everywhere you go. You go on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, everybody's talking about it. It's on the news. He has put his reputation on the line in an attempt to protect his wife, even when she wasn't even fully in, she wasn't even in physical danger, just maybe emotionally. Is this the protection that women want? Is this what protection really looks like? Or was this just bad form? Was he just emotionally responding? Was he just doing too much? He said toxic masculinity is acceptable now. No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. But I'm kind of more wondering, like, okay, what are women saying about this? Because I again, okay, bam, you see she's beaming. Listen right there. She is beaming. She looks like, man, like you did, like she is happy. She looks thrilled. And to me, after he made arguably he knows he made a fool of himself. He knows that he made a fool of himself after he made a fool of himself, right? And we look at the way that she's so excited. And listen, y'all, his speech is all over the place. So I don't know that she's necessarily beaming over his speech as much as she's beaming over the fact that he's basically saying, look, I feel like I'm the best. Look at her again. Look at her again. She's beaming. He's saying again, I feel like I need to be a vessel of love. Love makes you do crazy things, is one of the things that he said. Love makes you do crazy things. I'm here to protect my family. I'm here to take care of them. Yada, 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 yada. And like I said, she was beaming. She was beaming. I want to see if I can go back. Let me find that one spot where she's just like, man, she is just like, that is my husband. He did. Look at that. Look at that pride, y'all. I love Lupita because like Lupita represents everybody right now. Like she's like, I'm so confused, but I'm trying to keep this together. Her, right? She looks so happy, y'all. She looks like she is glowing. So she's happy with his display. She's happy with his display. Again, he said Black Lives Matter stuff. So again, we make this point. He, at the end of the day, he put his career, his reputation on the line when he felt like his wife was threatened. She was not threatened physically. It was a joke done in bad form. Again, if you don't know, Jada Pinkett Smith recently came out and said that she had alopecia. This is why she is bald. So it seems that this has been a sensitive area for her, which is perhaps why he responded in the way that he did. But again, my question goes, is this what protection looks like? Is this what women are saying? Black women are saying, we want protection. Is this what they want? Is it, a man be willing to put his reputation on the line, put all of his hard work on the line, all of that just to protect your name, just for you to feel good? Like, is that the protection that we're wanting, or is it something else? I see no. Okay. I'm looking at the comments here. Again, shout out to, Black One with the $1.99 of the super sticker. Guys, if you're on here, get those likes up, y'all. Likes are free. Also, if you would like to show support to the show, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo. Sure that you can also send in super chats. I'll be sure to acknowledge all super chats. Again, I also want to give a special shout out to Deanie, who is the sponsor of the week. Deanie may be asleep right now because I know it's it's so late. But again, I thank you. Okay, so I'm seeing some women in there. He's like, nah, he messed up the Oscars. You're like, nah, I see this one over here. I would have no man embarrassing me like that in public after he kissed our kids on the lips in public and made me lose out. So yes, right. So I'm seeing so many of these comments like, no, this is not the protection that we want. This is not. And the reason I bring this up is because, again, if you recognize when he was doing his speech, he brought up his words of protection. So basically he made a fool of himself, and he knows he made a fool of himself based upon what he said at the end of the of the speech. So he knows that. But in it, he's kind of explaining, well, I feel like I need to protect my family and love, and I want to be a vessel of love, and I feel God is calling me to be love and protection. So that's essentially what he's saying. And so, again, this all happened so fast. I think he just was kind of like in his feelings. I think he was trying to kind of make sense of what he was doing. And just, I think his emotions were high, so he hadn't fully processed it. But somewhere in his mind, I think he felt like he was doing what he needed to do. But it's funny. We're looking at most of us are looking at that. We're just like, bruh, like, yeah, maybe that was a bad joke, but I think there was a better way to handle it. And but can we really say this is a whole love makes you do crazy things? Did love really make you do that? Was that really love? Was this really inspired by protection, or is it that maybe it's time to maybe sit back, focus on yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, sit down and work out whatever you need to work out? You know what I mean? So, yeah, see, protection as a joke is lame. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, most people that I've heard up to this point have just been like, this is just bad form, period. This is bad form. And what's even more crazy to me is how she's, like I said, this is the craziest part to me, is how she's beaming. So, y'all, this is, okay, and I see why is Jada bald. Y'all, the reason Jada's bald is because she has alopecia. She has alopecia. So again, the reason this whole thing happened is because Chris Rock made a joke about her. Shout out to Marco Polo, 1,000 views. Marco Polo, I know, that's crazy. That's crazy, y'all. This is the latest I have ever been live, and it's crazy. And I got 1,000 live views, so that's heck of random. I was not expecting this. But anyways, thank y'all for being here. Again, likes are free. Get those likes up, y'all. But yeah, so that to me, this is one of the craziest things about it. It's literally her response. Everybody else in the world is looking at this and being like, we're embarrassed for you. She seems really happy. She like just based upon, now I haven't talked to her, I don't know, but that expression seems like an expression of satisfaction. So all I'm gonna have to say is that this is going to be very interesting to continue to see, because like I said, they have been very open about the relationship up to this point, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to do so. And he said, Jade, I cannot with y'all. I mean, y'all, this is a mess. I ain't gonna lie, this is a mess. I feel embarrassed for them, and I hope that they can get it together. But this is, I will say this, y'all. I will say this. They, to me, are a perfect example of why people and married people in close relationships should keep their business private, especially if they are going through rocky times like all relationships do. To me, they are beautiful reminders as to why I feel like I would never want to do that. Or if I did, I would be incredibly cautious about what that means. No shame in their game. They did what they want to do and felt like that's, that they had, their relationship was strong enough to do it. But like I said, now there's just always so much drama associated with it, and everybody's judging them. And that has to be hard. That has to be hard. Listen, I will say, even for me, like I am probably 1/1,000,000th like followers, and like people don't know me like that. And even the comments that I get and some of the death threats, believe it or not, and some of the negative, misogynistic, evil, sometimes racist things that I've heard in my little small stint of career online, it's been hard emotionally, and I have to center myself sometimes, and I have to go back and talk to my husband and be like, okay, let's make sure let's make sure I'm at the same time I'm taking in constructive criticism, and I'm also pushing out people who just have bad intentions. So I'm having to manage that with the small platform that I have. So I imagine with them who have all eyes on them, it's even that much more. It's that much more harder. And especially, like I said, that now they got everybody knows their bed business. Everybody knows who's sleeping with who. You know what I mean? And we got entanglements. We got first love. It's a mess, y'all. It is messy. And that's what I'm saying. When things like that happen, marriages and relationships can be messy. Like, it's not to say it has to be toxic, but when you have two people coming together, anytime you have two people coming together, she's imperfect, they're imperfect, there's going to be a level of mess. So now if you amplify that to where the whole world sees you, whoo, that's rough, y'all. That's rough. So Shout out to Jay Sahara with the 5 on the super chat. Now I got my hand claps, y'all. I said, you befriend my son and sleep with his mom, who's my wife, who really should be getting slapped here. That, like I said, this whole, I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. So at the end of the day, this whole thing was a mess. You know, and everybody's going to be talking about it. And at the end of the day, my question really was, y'all, is this the kind of protection that women are talking about? Is this what we say that we want? Already I've seen in the comments, majority of women being like, no, this is embarrassing. This is disrespectful to her and himself. And I would not recommend it. Now, was the joke done in bad form? If she was really sensitive about her alopecia, yeah, maybe that was a little bit insensitive. And maybe that could have been like, okay, let's have a private conversation. You know, when cameras aren't on us, let's be really clear. Like, you don't do this again. So, right. So maybe there could have been a different way of handling it, but you know, he did what he did. I see the sisterhood. So some of y'all think the sisterhood wants this kind of protection. I don't know. Like I said, he literally that's the thing about it. He put everything, his whole reputation on the line, y'all. And she is beaming. So to me, she seems like she is happy with this display. I don't know. We're going to see what they say after. Like, because I'm sure, listen, we already know they're going to have to come up with something because everybody's talking about it. So she seems to be happy with his public display. Meanwhile, everybody else is embarrassed for them. So that's interesting. Yeah, I see comedians have said way worse. Absolutely. They have. They have. And I see some y'all in here. What did the 5 fingers say to the face? Stop. Oh man, y'all. This is interesting. So, you know, I would say personally, yeah, most of the guys that I've seen, content creators are just like, this dude is a simp and this was bad form. I feel for him for wanting to protect his wife, but the way he did it was just insane. That's what most content creators are saying. But you know what? You know, like I said, he's a grown man. He did what he did. And so now we're going to see what he has to say about it. In his speech, it definitely sounded like he knew that he had a moment of weakness. And that's the thing about it. Even superstars, even millionaires, people that got all this money and protection, they have moments of weakness too. So, you know, I think about that. And like I said, when I have my moments where I'm getting negativity or I'm getting people who are haters, like I try to put myself in their shoes sometimes and be like, dang, if I'm getting this on this small level that I have, imagine how it is for them. So I have compassion for the fact that sometimes people just have bad days and they crack. It happens to all of us. Unfortunately, there's just been so much behind the relationship that it's like we're all scratching our head. Anyways, this has been good, y'all. You said everyone hates Chris, right? Literally. Chris did not think the form was bad at all. He was like, yo, it was a joke. Like, really? Like, I've been doing this for my entire career. This is not. So you said the joke wasn't that crazy for him to do that. Yeah, I believe y'all. I don't think it was all that crazy either. But maybe for her, it was a really sensitive subject. You know, a woman losing her hair, that's a lot. That's a lot. And also, by the way, that was assault. Yes, that was assault. So if he wanted to press charges, I mean, they probably technically could, because it's like all of the evidence is there. Like, he literally got out of his seat, went out of his way, got on a stage as a performance was going on or a speech was going on, and assaulted him. So it's like, yes, by all intents and purposes, that is assault. If he wanted to press charges, he absolutely could. I doubt he will. But it was embarrassing. You know, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. But I hope, my personal hope is that he personally goes and gets himself together emotionally, because it does sound like there's a lot going on there. And it's not surprising given the amount of scrutiny the relationship has been under recently, you know. So that's just my take, y'all. But again, I see she looks good even without the hair. Yeah, no, she does look good. Yeah, I see. I hope Chris does press charges. I just hope they get it together clearly. And like I said, these movie star relationships, The good thing about being, I guess, being able to spectate them, right, or watch them is that to me, I always try to learn lessons. I'm one of those. I'm always trying to learn lessons, especially if I ain't got to go through the pain. So if I can look at something that you did wrong, or look at something that you missed, or look at something that you did that make your life embarrassed, right? I'm going to do my best to try to learn from that and apply it to my life without even having to walk through that thing. So like I said, if nothing else, I look at this relationship and I'm just like, you guys are perfect reminders as to why there is no need to flaunt relationships online. Nobody, you don't need to do it. If you are in a relationship with somebody, you love them, your husband, wife, don't nobody need to go and hear about all that you guys do in the bed. We don't need to know where you're going, on dates every week. We don't need to know what sexual positions you're doing. We don't need to know who you last slept with, who you crushed on, who you didn't crush on, the last thing that you said when you fought. We don't need to know all that. We don't need to know all that. And like I said, these situations like this remind me, like, okay, I don't know that I have the capacity to do that. I do know that there's people who are out there who are very open about that. There's, YouTube content creators that they essentially put their whole family online. And I think, there are ways that you can, if you do it, if you are like very, very clear and have strong boundaries, maybe it can work. But like I said, at a certain point, you put all your business out there, it's like you are a buffet for the world. Everybody is eating off of you, and everybody is feeding off of you, and everybody's giving you their opinion. And that, my friend, can be incredibly damaging and draining and emotionally toxic. And I think that's what happened to, So y'all, anyways, it's so funny that this is like trending. You said, yeah, and I see he's a hypocrite, and that's another thing too, y'all, that I got, where it's like, again, it's crazy. He knows that he knows that what he did was wrong, or he knows what he did was embarrassing. But then at the speech, he was like, okay, well, love will make you do crazy things. So maybe in his mind, he did that because he loved her. Was that the best response? I don't think so. But it's going to be curious to see what he has to say and what they have to say when they get interviewed, or when the tabloids pick them up, because I'm sure they're going to have to give a public response, because everybody in mama's talking about this, y'all. Everybody's talking about it. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say, y'all. It's getting late over here. I appreciate all of you guys who've been coming on. I see some new faces. Yeah. Shout out to C's Big Vertigo. I see some of you guys in here. Also, Solar Guild. Shout out to Solar Guild with the 5 on the super chat. I see Will is supposed to be one of the good ones, which makes this one of the good ones. Y'all, what does that even mean anymore these days, y'all? You saying he was trying to have the whole father loyal public? I don't even really know what that means anymore. Like, I don't, low key personally, I try not to put too much stock on or put on my hope on celebrities, because celebrities are human beings. And just because somebody has money, or they are successful in their career, successful financially, successful emotionally, or successful musically, whatever it may be, does not mean that they're emotionally well. Actually, quite the opposite. Some of the most creative, artistic people are emotionally damaged. And sometimes it's that trauma, all that, built up trauma and pain that can make them creative in their music, or make them creative when it comes to acting, and they're emotionally messed up. So I try not to put too much stock on celebrities or use them as examples of how I want to live my life, because I recognize that they're human beings, and I recognize that many of them are actually unwell mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And if nothing else, I think they can serve as examples of sometimes what not to do. And in this case, to me, this is like an example of, okay, this is what not to do. And again, this is a reason why marriages, relationships, especially if they are at a certain level in their life, they should remain private. My personal opinion. Yeah, and I said first year, and that's another thing, y'all, too. Everybody in the Black community right now are just scratching their head. They're like, why? We're not all like this. This is not all how we handle our disagreements. Please stop. So I know a lot of people in the Black community are just like, oh God, now we're gonna have everybody. Now we're all about to be judged for the bad actions of, somebody who was mentally cracked. I'm not feeling it. Not feeling it. And yes, no, it is not a good look for them. And it's not a good look for the Black community, period. Like, most of us, like I said, are just like, man, I do not associate with that. I do not recommend that. I would not handle it that way. God bless them. Let me see. I just got a Cash App in. a super chat, and I wanted to acknowledge it. Shout out to Jay Sahara there with the 5 on the super chat. I appreciate you. He said, you share your wife with other men and call it love. Nah. Hell no. Sorry. I don't like to, y'all know I don't like to cuss, but I'm like, that is a no, that is a whole nother topic. And no, that is a horrible idea. I would never, we talked about this a few weeks ago on whether or not polyamory was a new level up. No, I am against it. I personally, if you want to know my position, you go check out the video, but I would highly discourage that. Highly discourage it. Honestly, I just feel like that goes against me personally. I'm not a man, so I don't want to say I'm an expert on this, but I think that goes against male nature. Like, men wanting to protect and wanting to have this, being somewhat territorial when it comes to certain things. And it's like, if your territory is being, stomped on and pillaged through other men, like, is that just, to me, that just seems like that would go against like your typical maleness. But listen, I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm not a man. So like I said, I'm just giving I'm female-splaining, as they say it. Shout out to Jeremiah Butler with the $4.99 on the super chat. I say, in a room full of actors on a night when they're recognized for their work, this might have been the greatest act. It said speed up nice though. I don't know. His speech to me seemed like it was all over the place. Honestly, I think his speech was all over the place. So I tend to think that it was not staged simply because of the way that Chris Rock responded. He to me looked like, granted, look, he's an actor too, so we could all be fooled. Who knows? The whole thing could be staged and we could all be fooled. But I tend to think that was legit, okay? And I tend to think he legitimately had an emotional breakdown or just kind of cracked because his speech was kind of all over the place. Like, it was not to me a clear, cohesive, strategic thought. Like, I felt like he was kind of bouncing around. So I tend to think that that he just, like I said, he had emotional reaction. He's human. People have outbursts when and this is another reason. We're going to be talking about this, you guys, coming up in the next week. So tune in. We're going to be talking about mental health. This is why I think mental health is very important. Because if we don't know how to address some of those different things, let's say we do have, let's say we do have, I don't know, we feel stressed. We feel overwhelmed. We feel insecure. We feel alone. We feel attacked. All those different things. If we don't have proper avenues on how to handle our emotions or how to handle those feelings, if you bury them, if you stuff them, if you don't address them, they will come out. And sometimes they will come out swinging, as it did in this situation. And again, this is just my opinion, but to me, this just sounds like somebody who's had a lot of emotional turmoil going on and maybe just hasn't had the proper tools or just hasn't handled it, hasn't really been able to handle it in a way that's been constructive and conducive. And bam, here we have this outburst. And that could happen to any last one of us. And so I think that's why I'm saying even people that got money, and are incredibly talented does not mean that they are still emotionally whole and well. And I think we've all had a chance to witness their relationships over the last months, if not years. And I think many could say like, hey, you know what? There's certainly room for opportunity here. I said, you got Will Smith. What does that mean? He said, oh, he was trying to get his manhood back. Yeah, you know what? I haven't even looked super deep into Red Table like that. I know they've been telling all on there, but let me see. Pressure him. Look on these comments here. Pimp slapped on live TV. Yeah, no, I don't think. Yeah, so like I said, the whole thing was a mess. Most people are looking at the situation like, y'all, this is a mess. We don't care how you spin it. We're not saying that the joke was that great. There's probably a better way to handle it. Yes, and again, that irrational response likely is pointing to some fact that they probably need to work on some things emotionally, and I hope that they do. I hope that he does at the very least. Yeah, what people can control is how people respond to certain things. Right. Like I said, obvious trigger. Obvious trigger for him. Obvious trigger. Shout out to Florida. Rain. I really hope I didn't butcher that name. Is that wrong? Yeah, I hope I didn't butcher the name. But Yeah, y'all. So that's my point. I know we're just kind of we're going in circles here. I didn't know this was gonna be so long. Again, y'all, if you're on here, get those likes up, please. Likes are free. I appreciate all of y'all for being here. And this is going to be interesting. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what they got to say about it. And I would say at the end of the day, if nothing else, I am yet again encouraged to keep my private business private, to keep my relationship private, and to be very, very, very conscientious about what it is that I share about the intimate details of my life. Because as we see, that can create, not only can that just create personal trauma here, that obviously can create tension for my husband, because like I said, he put his life on the line for his wife, or that's what he said it. I mean, we can all speculate as to why, but nevertheless, he reacted because of the way that somebody treated his wife. We all know she's been saying all kinds of different crazy stuff, all kinds of things over the last few months and stuff. So again, like when you're in a relationship, what you say, it impacts that person. You're putting that other person at risk too. So that's another thing. I look at this and I'm just like, man, like you gotta be so conscientious when you put all your public business out there. And in most cases, it may just be better to keep it quiet. But that's just my little 2 cents, y'all. So anyways, I do appreciate all y'all. Appreciate all y'all for being here, for hanging out. Yeah, so keep your husband queen off of YouTube. That's how I feel. I think there maybe are some instances where it's like, yeah, this is necessary, but for the most part, I think there's just certain things that should stay private. Some of the most intimate, some of the most beautiful moments, I think, are those moments that are shared in private. That are just you and that person. You ain't got to flaunt it to everybody else. You ain't got to show it off to everybody else. And I think sometimes, I don't think this is their situation, but I think in general, there can be this pressure sometimes in the era of social media for people to have to flaunt their relationships or have to flaunt their person. And that could become dangerous. That can become incredibly dangerous. Why? Well, prime example, we have a situation here where somebody putting all their stuff out there can create all kinds of can create a lot of tension. But secondly, if there's such an emphasis sometimes on putting yourself out there, then sometimes you don't even have the time to work on what you got internally. And again, that is that's I think that's a bad idea. So like I said, I will my lesson from this whole situation is, okay, let me not let me not do that. Let me not put all my business all out there. And yeah, I'm still tripping out the fact that she's this. Look at that, y'all. Look at that expression on her face. She is like just she is beaming. To me, there's a lot going on here. Anyways, that's all I got to say. I appreciate you guys for being on here, and check back later on this week. We're going to be talking a little bit about mental health and the importance of it, as we can see in real time why mental health is incredibly important. Yeah, this has been good. Hit the like button before you leave, and we will talk later, y'all. Peace.